Hi everyone. I wanted to start off by thanking Trevor for coming on our video last week. Today I welcome Paul Morrell. Not only is Paul the Chief Operating Officer of the Ontario Racquet Club, but he is also the main man of Urban Paul Design. I guess it's a bit of a COVID hobby for him. He's the creator of this brand, actually, Subpar and another, 40 Love. I thought it'd be fun to don this cap as an intro to our chat that we had today. We dove into a little bit of his experience at the ORC, some fall and winter plans and what he can expect there, and also a little bit about comparative data. Speaking of which, the mid-management compensation survey is out. The results are out now. Hopefully they are timely and valuable for everyone that participated. If anyone has anything specific they want to know beyond what we issued, please don't hesitate to reach out. Say, for example, you're about to hire a new manager that we have some comparative data on in a specific area. Please just send us an email or call me, and I can perhaps dig out some more info other than what we will issue or what is currently on the website. Reminder to log in. You head to the results page of clubstudy.ca, and the password is CS Trial. The next survey will be Monday, October 12th. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Without further ado, find the next video of Paul and I's discussion today. Here we go. Good day, everybody. I want to thank Paul Morrell, the Chief Operating Officer from the Ontario Racquet Club, joining me today. So this week we had our mid-management compensation survey go out, and results will be out shortly for that. I asked Paul to come on to chat about a few other things today. A racket club, and obviously very busy heading into the winter months. Paul, there must be a lot of uncertainty. Tell us what you're going through.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting time. Like being in the Toronto area, the COVID numbers on the rise are definitely having an impact on people, as well as our club, as our staff, as our members. As we kind of like head into the winter season, our biggest focus right now, I would say, is trying to continue to keep our membership safe, keep our staff safe, and still build on the confidence they have for the things that we have been successful doing. I think we're trying to provide activities here at this club, both physically and mentally, can give them some satisfaction. Being a multi-sport facility, having an outlet in these times is great, and keeping the doors open so people have that opportunity is really important. And I think the other thing that we're focusing on right now going into the winter is that just reinventing ourselves, how we can change to suit the needs of our members now, also change to meet legislation, and to keep ourselves relevant so members want to use our programming, because it is very different than it was 6 months ago.
Yeah, right. I was just thinking the vibe now, colder weather, more indoor time. Do you feel like the environment or maybe the membership feel is back approaching what it was kind of April, May? And I know everyone was closed for a certain amount of time too, but what's the vibe?
I think our members are the ones that are using the club, and there are some members that are still staying away. I think the ones that are using it are confident, they feel safe, and they do view this as their kind of outlet. I think the tough thing for us as a club, we hang our hat on being a social hub, and members would come to the club, not only for the sport or the activity they were doing, but also to socialize, to be in parties, be in events. And a lot of that's been stripped down. We've become very transactional from that sense. So I think that's tough for both our staff, our team, our revenues, and as well as our members. Now they come in and they play tennis, and yes, they may have a beer with their friend afterwards on the patio, but there is no tennis events going on right now. There's no interaction where they're sitting in the hall and they'll watch people play, or the squash group are very social now that they have to get together in smaller table sizes, and they were held out for so long, they've lost a little bit of their social connection. So, I mean, overall, people are happy to be back. People are happy to be doing the sport, and they're thankful for that. But the social component, I still think, has a long way to come.
Yeah, those intangibles that, like you said, that social part that really drives a club. To keep that connection is obviously difficult, especially these days. I can appreciate that. You alluded to revenues a little bit and activity, and obviously it's a huge focal point of any chief operating officer. Food and beverage, maybe specifically, we're getting a lot of budget questions of late. Mid-August, half said it was too early to predict many budget line items for next year, but the event side, specifically middle of August, about half of the participants said they're budgeting for 60% less on the event front. Do you guys do many events, and what are you thinking for from now, or is it too early to forecast?
Well, as far as like overall outside events, we don't do a lot. Our events are mostly in-house or member-sponsored events, like things that our members are doing here at the club. We don't host weddings here. We don't do large banquets. That's just not part of our business. So from that sense, we're not really missing out on a lot. We are going to forecast a definite, significant less revenue in food and beverage. And it has prompted us to look at other food and beverage models. We do view it as a service sector of our club and not a profit center. So we just want to see how much farther we're going to stretch it as that, and see if we are going to change the overall model and how we approach it to make it more of an area for member satisfaction opposed to driving any kind of profit.
Mm. Yeah, interesting. I know one question I posed to you prior to getting on was about long-term planning, and I don't know where every club is in their strategic plan, but I think it's evolving regardless if you're 1, 2, or 3 years into it. I had one comment from a GM a few weeks back about liability long-term. I'm wondering, members walking through the door or members that you're onboarding, do you foresee any, let's say, juxtaposition for your liability? Listen, a virus that comes up or whatever, we're a little bit less responsible because we have less control now moving forward. Do you see that being something you'd contemplate?
I think when we look at like how responsible we're for it, I mean, one of the consistent things we've always said to our members and people coming in is that for the liability side of things, we're trying to provide the safest possible environment possible. But we're also not here to eradicate the virus. That's not our stance. We do make our members make a choice to assess their own risk in participating here. And there are members that have chosen that this isn't the time for them to return, and it's other ones that are here every day and think there's no risk. I think we have to balance that. But when it comes to safety at the club, I mean, that's first and foremost, but I think we're definitely, we walk that line saying like, we're not trying to eradicate this virus. We're trying to live with it and see how we can do that within our space.
Yeah, it's probably a little more realistic, right? And I hope they're appreciative of that. I don't know if people can really ever get used to it, but
yeah,
we know how important comparative data is, and that's one thing that's really been the main motive for the surveys that we've been putting out with Club Study. And it's really difficult to get those apples to apples comparisons, whether we're comparing clubs of similar stature or location, size, what have you. So what do you see are your biggest benefits, or what have been the biggest things that you've taken away from any comparative data you've seen?
When I look at the comparative data, I mean, one of the things I really focus in on is I like the regionality of it. I'm looking at what similar clubs in similar area and how we're coping. What I do like from getting data from surveys is also the variety of things. I couldn't pinpoint and say this is the one thing I'm always looking for. I like when people do surveys that go across a breadth of topics, allowing to be comparing things. Like I was mentioned to prior to this, it's great when clubs in similar regions can share data, what's going on, and kind of know what's going on at your neighbor club, and then being able to take that data that they have and be able to apply it to your own club, and also be able to speak intelligently to your members and say like, we're not alone in this. This is what we're doing. This is the data from this, and here's what these people are doing. And here's what we're doing. And this is why we formulated this. So to say if there is something specific we always look for, I'm more of like, let's see the whole picture and then see what we can pick and choose from there and see how it applies to us and how we can make a plan from that.
Yeah, from my understanding, any wise club manager or chief operating officer, you wouldn't really take one bit. Certainly a lot of different points of view you have to take. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. you know, looking at comparative data, I mentioned the apples to apples comparison is tough. A lot
Yeah.
of people will make comments as to, hey, you know, there's nothing I've seen that shocked me. But I think that's a positive, you know, to have information that backs up decisions you've made and is supportive in that front is helpful. And it's helpful with board education and member education and staff information too. So, all right, we'll finish with one more here. You know,
Okay.
I've come to realize how much of a beer lover you are. I'm not going to ask you about beer, you know, your favorite type of Coors Light or anything like that. But what about your snacks with beer? Is there any favorite snack you have, like a pretzel or a chip or a peanut or anything like that?
Well, I stay away from the peanuts because my son's allergic, so that kind of stay away from that. You don't want anything caught in the beard.
Right.
Um, what would be a good? Let's see. So holistically, we want to talk about beer, and I'll talk about wine and other things. Maybe that's another whole another section. But I think beer is much like a wine, that it should be viewed as something like, well, what are you eating and how you pair it to that? Do I have a favorite thing that I would eat with beer? I mean, like, hey, sometimes beer's great by itself. I think there's no simple answer to that. I mean, I would rather say, what am I eating, and then how do I pair the beer to match that specific
Gotcha.
entree or
Yeah.
snack? But you know, like potato chips are always good too. So
Yeah, yeah, more the meal maybe than the snack, but it's tough. I didn't give you that one up front, so tough to come up with an answer to that one. So thanks, Paul, for joining me today, and certainly good luck with the rest of the fall and heading into the winter. And let's keep in touch.
appreciate it. Thank you.